There comes a time in your journey when the struggle must cease, when the labor of the hands gives way to the effortless flow of divine provision. You have to understand, chosen one, that the moment you recognize your divine inheritance, the need to toil vanishes. The world has conditioned you to believe in hardship, in endless effort, in chasing after opportunities that seem just beyond your grasp. But God has spoken. He has declared that you are not to look for work, for it is now His duty to sustain you. You are not of this world, though you walk in it. The rules that govern the masses do not apply to you. Others may strive, others may push, but you are to rest in the knowing that all is already done. The riches, the abundance, the prosperity, they have been yours from the foundation of time. Do you think the birds of the air labor for their next meal? Do you think the lilies of the field weave their garments? And yet not one of them lacks. How much more, then, shall you be provided for, you who are called and chosen? Faith is not hoping, faith is knowing. When God speaks, His word does not return void. If He has said that from now on it is His duty to provide, then it is done. But you must align yourself with this truth. You must cease from worry, cease from doubt, cease from trying to manipulate the physical world to bring about what has already been decreed in the unseen. You are not to work in the way the world understands work. You are to walk in faith. Act as if the riches are already yours. Move as one who lacks nothing. Your mind is the soil in which the riches of God take root. Think only upon abundance. Do not entertain thoughts of lack, for what you focus upon expands. If you seek, you are affirming that you do not have. But if you know, if you stand firm in the conviction that everything you need is already in your possession, then it must reveal itself. This is the law of the divine. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. So assume now, in this very moment, that your riches are secure, that your path is laid with gold, that your hands need only be lifted in praise, not in toil. Others will question you. They will say, how can this be? How can one receive without striving? But they do not understand the ways of God. They do not know that the kingdom is already within. They chase after things, not realizing that the very act of chasing pushes their desires further away. But you, chosen one, have been given a gift, a knowing beyond human understanding. You do not look for work is unnecessary where provision is certain. You do not seek, for you already have. And as you walk in this truth, the world must bow before you. Opportunities will seek you, wealth will flow to you, doors will open without effort. God has spoken. He has commanded that from this day forward, your path is one of ease, your hands are blessed without labor, your name is written in the halls of abundance. Believe, and it is done. Stand firm, and it is yours. You are the vessel through which divine riches manifest, and nothing can take that away. There is a shift happening, a divine unfolding that no man can interrupt. You have spent years believing that effort is the key to success, that the harder you work, the more you will receive. But God has spoken. He has removed the weight from your shoulders. He has commanded you to stop searching, to stop striving, to stop chasing after that which is already yours. From now on, it is not your duty to seek provision. It is His. The riches of the kingdom are not earned through labor, but through faith. You must understand that the moment you recognize your divine status, the need for toil disappears. The world will tell you that nothing comes without struggle, that without sacrifice there can be no reward. But what is sacrifice to the one who already possesses all things? What is struggle to the one who has been anointed to receive effortlessly? If God has said, do not look for work, then why do you still search? Why do you still doubt? Do you not see that the very act of seeking implies lack? The moment you stop seeking, you affirm that you already have. When a child asks his father for bread, does he worry about how it will come? Does he pace the room, fearing that his request will be ignored? No. He asks and he rests, knowing that his father will provide. If earthly fathers give freely to their children, how much more will your heavenly Father provide for you? But you must believe. You must stop acting as though you are in need. Stop speaking as though you lack. Every word you speak shapes your reality. Every thought you think either affirms your divine inheritance or delays its manifestation. There is no more waiting. The riches are here, the abundance is now. You do not need to prove yourself worthy. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. The wealth of the universe flows to you not because of your labor, but because of your divine identity. You are an heir to an everlasting kingdom. The moment you step into this truth, the world must yield to you. Many will not understand. They will question you, they will doubt you, they will tell you that what you believe is impossible. But they do not know what you know. They have not been called as you have been called. They still live by the laws of the world, where effort equals reward, where struggle is the currency of success. But you are no longer bound by those laws. You operate under the law of faith. You speak and it is done. You believe and it manifests. You must carry yourself as one who already possesses all things. Stop speaking as though you are waiting for blessings to come. Walk as though they are already here. The riches are not coming, they have come. The opportunities are not on their way, they have arrived. Every time you look at your life, see it as overflowing with abundance. See yourself as the magnet for divine provision. The more you affirm it, the more it becomes your reality. There is nothing more to do but receive. No more working to earn favor. No more struggling to gain what has already been freely given. You must step into the flow of divine provision and trust that it is done. If God has said He will take care of you, why would you doubt? To doubt is to deny His word. To fear is to reject His promise. Imagine the ocean refusing to meet the shore. Imagine the sun refusing to shine. It is impossible, for they were created to fulfill their purpose. So too were you created to receive divine provision without struggle. Just as the river flows without force, just as the stars shine without effort, so too must your wealth come to you effortlessly. The only thing that can block it is your own doubt. Do you see now? Do you understand why you must no longer look for work, why you must no longer seek what is already yours? When a king walks through his palace, does he search for his throne? Does he wonder where his riches are? No. He knows they are his. He does not question, he does not chase, he does not strive. He simply exists in the knowing that all belongs to him. You are that king, you are that ruler, and the riches you seek are already in your possession. Everything in this world is a reflection of your inner state. If you believe you must struggle, then struggle will appear before you. If you believe you must chase, then what you desire will always stay just beyond your reach. But the moment you know, truly know, that it is already done, the moment you stop seeking and start receiving, everything will shift. The opportunities will flow, the wealth will multiply, the doors will open without you even knocking. This is not fantasy, this is divine law. God's word does not return void. When He says He will provide, He does not mean tomorrow or next week or someday in the future. He means now. But do you believe it? Do you trust it enough to stop searching? Or do you still think you must earn His favor? Let go of the belief that anything is missing. Let go of the belief that you must work for what has already been given. You are not of this world. You are not subject to its limitations. You are the chosen one, and what you decree must come to pass. Look around you now. See beyond what your eyes perceive. See with the vision of faith. See your life already transformed, your hands already filled with abundance, your path already lined with gold. Feel it as though it were real, because it is real. Your faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, and the moment you claim it in your mind, it must appear in your life. You are no longer a servant toiling under the weight of worldly burdens. You are a child of the Most High, destined for wealth, called to abundance. You must begin to live as if the promise is already fulfilled. Speak as one who has already received. Think as one who already possesses. Act as one who lacks nothing. This is how you step into the divine flow. Everything you need will come to you at the appointed time, but you must not chase it. Chasing affirms that it is not yet yours. Seeking affirms that you are still in lack. But when you rest in the knowing, when you trust fully in the promise, everything aligns. The wealth, the opportunities, the connections, the divine favor, they will all come to you, drawn by your unwavering faith. You were not created to struggle. You were not chosen to live in lack. You were called to be a light, a vessel of divine abundance, a reflection of God's unlimited provision. From this moment forward, you must never again look for work, never again search for what is already within you. Stand firm, trust completely, walk boldly in the knowledge that God has taken over, that it is His duty now, and that your only role is to receive. The riches of the kingdom are yours. The abundance of heaven is in your hands. The struggle is over. The waiting is over. It is done. Now live as though you know it. There is a sacred rest that comes when you finally understand who you are. The world has taught you to strive, to labor, to run after success as if it were something outside of you, something distant, something to be earned. But God has removed that burden from you. He has spoken a truth that cancels all fear, all striving, all uncertainty. You no longer need to look for work, for the work has already been done. You no longer need to search for wealth, for it has already been given. You no longer need to wonder where your provision will come from, because it is already here. The riches of the kingdom are not coming, they have come. Everything you see, everything you desire, everything you have prayed for is not separate from you. It has never been separate. The only thing that created distance between you and your blessing was the belief that you had to chase it. You do not chase what is already yours. You do not look for what is already in your hands. The moment you stop searching, the moment you stop striving, the moment you fully trust that God has already provided, the riches of heaven manifest in your life effortlessly. You must see beyond what your physical eyes show you. Your bank account does not dictate your wealth. Your job does not determine your provision. Your circumstances do not define your reality. You are not meant to live according to what the world says is possible. You are meant to live according to divine truth. And that truth is that you are already provided for. You are already prosperous. You are already in possession of everything you need. But do you believe it? Do you truly know it? Or are you still waiting for evidence? God does not operate according to the logic of man. He does not need you to toil in order to bless you. He does not require struggle in order to release abundance. He speaks and it is done. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, the same God who commanded light to appear out of darkness, has spoken over your life. He has declared that from now on, it is His duty to provide. Not yours, not the world's, not your employer's, His. Lack ceases to exist. You must let go of the habit of worrying, let go of the tendency to calculate and control. You are not called to live by effort, you are called to live by faith. Faith does not need proof. Faith does not need guarantees. Faith does not ask how, does not ask when, does not ask from where. Faith knows. Faith rests. Faith understands that because God has spoken, it is already done. You must step into that knowing. You must refuse to entertain doubt. You must refuse to be moved by appearances. Every time you think you lack, you delay the manifestation of your abundance. Every time you search for opportunities, you declare that they are not already yours. But when you stand in unwavering faith, when you act as one who already possesses everything, when you refuse to be shaken by what your eyes see, the riches flow effortlessly. This is divine law. This is the truth that has been hidden from the world but revealed to you. You are not here to work for money. Money is here to work for you. You are not here to struggle for opportunities. Opportunities are drawn to you. You are not here to beg for provision. Provision follows you wherever you go. You have entered a new season, a new way of being, a new understanding of who you are and what belongs to you. You must walk in this truth every single day. You must wake up knowing that the resources of heaven are already arranged on your behalf. You must move through life with the assurance that what is yours cannot be taken, cannot be delayed, cannot be withheld. There are those who will not understand this. They will continue to live by the rules of the world, believing that only through struggle can one succeed. They will laugh at the idea that you no longer need to look for work. They will doubt when you say that God has taken over your provision. But you do not need their approval. You do not need them to believe. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. The results will speak for themselves. The abundance that flows into your life will be undeniable. The blessings that chase you down will be impossible to ignore. Those who once questioned you will one day ask how you did it, and you will tell them, I did not do it. God did. Everything is already in motion. The blessings are already assigned to you. The doors are already opened. You do not need to push them. You do not need to force anything. Simply align yourself with the truth that God is your source. Do not entertain thoughts of struggle. Do not allow yourself to speak words of lack. Do not let the opinions of others shake your confidence. You are not dependent on the economy. You are not dependent on circumstances. You are not dependent on any human system. You are dependent only on divine provision, and divine provision never fails. There is no more waiting, no more questioning, no more asking when it will happen. It is already happening. The moment you accept it fully, the moment you let go of every doubt, the moment you step into complete trust, the flow begins. The resources, the wealth, the opportunities, the connections, the divine favor, it all moves toward you at once. There is no limit to what you can receive. There is no restriction on how much can be poured into your life. The only limit is your faith. Do not think small. Do not ask for just enough. Do not settle for less than what God has ordained for you. You were chosen for abundance, chosen for greatness, chosen to walk in a level of wealth and success that the world cannot explain. When you speak, things must shift. When you declare, heaven must respond. When you believe, the impossible becomes reality. This is your inheritance. This is your divine birthright. You are standing at the threshold of unlimited wealth. You have the key, the door is open, but only you can walk through. Only you can claim it. Only you can decide that from this moment forward, you will never again doubt, never again strive, never again question whether you are worthy. You are worthy. You always have been. The riches have always been yours. The favor has always been upon you. The provision has always been guaranteed. The only thing left for you to do is receive. Breathe in the truth that you are already taken care of. Breathe out every fear, every worry, every thought that tells you otherwise. Hold firm to the knowing that God does not make promises He does not keep. Stand boldly in the certainty that what He has spoken over your life cannot be undone. The moment you fully accept this, everything changes. The world will look at you and wonder how you move so effortlessly into prosperity. They will not understand because they still believe in effort, still believe in struggle, still believe in limitation. But you will know the truth. You will know that it was never about effort, never about labor, never about proving yourself. It was always about believing. This is your moment. This is your calling. This is the shift that transforms everything. From this day forward, you no longer seek. You no longer chase, you no longer question. You rest in the knowing, you walk in the assurance, you live in the manifestation. God has spoken and His word is final. The riches of heaven are yours. The blessings of abundance are upon you. The struggle is over. It is done. You have stepped into a reality where effort is no longer your concern. The weight of labor has been lifted from your shoulders. It is no longer your job to find a way, to make ends meet, to struggle for survival. That is the way of the world, but you are no longer of the world. You are chosen, set apart, governed by divine law, And in divine law, there is no such thing as lack. Everything around you responds to the consciousness you hold. If you hold the consciousness of struggle, then struggle will find you. If you hold the consciousness of lack, then lack will appear. But when you hold the consciousness of abundance, when you accept fully that your provision is not of this world but of God, then there is no effort required. The riches flow not because you chase them, but because you allow them. The opportunities come not because you search for them, but because you expect them. The doors open not because you knock, but because they were never closed to begin with. There are laws at work in your life that the world does not understand. The world teaches that success comes through long hours, through relentless pursuit, through stress and sacrifice. But you have been removed from that system. You have been given a new assignment, a new way of living, a new awareness of who you are and what belongs to you. The wealth that is yours does not require toil. It does not require worry. It does not require permission. It simply is. And all that is required of you is to align with it. Think not in terms of effort, but in terms of reception. You are not the one doing the work. God is. You are not the one striving. God is moving on your behalf. When you understand this, you stop feeling the need to push, to force, to fight. You step back, and in that stillness, everything begins to unfold. The moments of greatest manifestation are the moments of greatest trust. The instant you release control, the instant you stop worrying about how it will happen, is the moment it begins to happen. Look around you. The trees do not labor to grow. The rivers do not struggle to flow. The stars do not worry about shining. They simply are. And just as creation functions effortlessly, so too must you. You were never meant to live in a state of uncertainty, wondering where your next provision would come from. You were never meant to wake up in anxiety, fearing whether you will have enough. You were meant to dwell in the certainty of divine supply. Everything you need is already arranged. The connections, the opportunities, the resources, they are already aligned in your favor. There is no delay except for the one created by doubt. Doubt is the only thing that can keep you from receiving. It is not the economy, it is not circumstances, it is not the opinions of others. The only thing that has the power to hold back your blessing is the belief that you do not already have it. But the moment you erase that belief, the moment you step fully into trust, the floodgates open. You must walk as if it is already done, speak as if it is already done, move as if every need has already been met. When you do this, the world adjusts to your faith. The invisible takes form. The unseen becomes seen. The impossible becomes reality. You are not waiting for riches. They are waiting for you to claim them. You are not chasing opportunities. They are chasing you, looking for a space where they can land. Look not at your bank account. Look not at your current situation. Look not at what the world tells you is possible. Look only to the truth that God has spoken over you. That truth is unshakable. It does not depend on the market. It does not depend on conditions. It does not depend on logic. It depends only on faith. And faith, when absolute, moves mountains. The time for hesitation is over. The time for questioning is over. You have been given the key. You have been given the authority. You have been given the promise. And that promise is that from this moment forward, you are no longer responsible for making things happen. That is God's duty now. Your only task is to believe without wavering. Do not look to others for validation. They will not understand this path because they have not been chosen for it. They will see you resting while they are striving, and they will question. They will see you prospering without effort, and they will doubt. They will see you receiving without labor, and they will assume it is luck. But it is not luck. It is law. The law of divine provision. The law that states that when God speaks, nothing can stand against it. You are beyond human limitations. You are beyond the struggles of this world. You have been lifted into a dimension where things flow effortlessly, where every step is guided, where every need is met before it even arises. You do not need to calculate, do not need to strategize, do not need to work things out. The details have already been arranged. The solutions have already been provided. The riches have already been released. If you could see what has been prepared for you, you would never doubt again. If you could see how the doors are already opened, how the connections are already forming, how the blessings are already on their way, you would never entertain another moment of worry. But even though you cannot see it yet, you must believe it as if you can. That is faith. That is the key. That is the bridge between what is unseen and what is made manifest. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to convince you that you must work for what is already yours. It will try to tell you that you must prove yourself before you can receive. But do not listen. Do not lower yourself to the ways of those who have not been chosen. You are different. You are set apart. You are called to live by a higher law. Speak nothing but abundance. Think nothing but prosperity. Walk in the assurance that you are already taken care of. From now on, everything flows to you effortlessly. The wealth, the opportunities, the blessings, they are drawn to you, seeking you, finding you wherever you go. You do not have to force it. You do not have to earn it. You simply have to receive it. There is no more fear, no more doubt, no more questioning. It is done. It has been spoken. It cannot be reversed. God has declared that you will never again have to search, never again have to strive, never again have to wonder how things will work out. It is His duty now. And God never fails. You must now begin to live as one who has already received. The waiting is over. The struggle is over. The very moment you accept this truth, the shift begins. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. It is only in the now that God moves, and it is only in the now that you must align yourself with His provision. Do not ask, when will it come? That is the language of one who doubts. Instead, declare, it is already here. Walk with the posture of one who lacks nothing. Let your spirit resonate with the certainty that all is unfolding exactly as it should. Every breath you take should be a breath of gratitude, not because you hope to receive, but because you know you already have. If you knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that wealth was flowing to you effortlessly, how would you behave? Would you still worry about the future? Would you still wake up anxious, questioning what tomorrow holds? No. You would move with the confidence of one who is secure, one who is held by the hands of the divine. And that confidence is the key to unlocking everything that has already been assigned to you. Faith is not passive. It is the most powerful force in existence. When you truly believe, all creation bends to your certainty. The people you need are drawn to you. The opportunities you require present themselves effortlessly. The resources you once chased now chase you. This is not theory, this is law. And once you master it, you will never again fall into the illusion of lack. You have seen glimpses of this before. There have been moments when things aligned perfectly, when what you needed appeared just in time, when doors opened without effort. That was not coincidence. That was a demonstration of the law at work in your life. Now, you are being called to live in that state permanently, to move from occasional moments of manifestation to a continuous flow of divine provision. You are no longer in the realm of waiting. You are in the realm of knowing. When you know that something is already yours, you no longer beg for it. You no longer worry about how it will come. You no longer waste energy trying to force what has already been ordained. Instead, you rest, you trust. You walk in unwavering assurance, and in that state, everything comes to you without resistance. The world has taught you that work is the way to wealth. That belief must now be erased. Work is the way of those who do not yet understand divine provision. But you are not among them. You are chosen. And as one who is chosen, your supply does not come from labor. It comes from alignment. Your wealth is not produced by effort. It is a natural byproduct of your faith. You are stepping into a new way of being, one where the old patterns no longer apply. You are no longer required to chase. You are no longer required to strive. You are no longer required to struggle. You are required only to believe, to speak and to receive. The moment you fully accept this, the floodgates open. The riches that have been stored up for you begin to flow without delay. Look around you. The signs are everywhere. The opportunities have already begun to appear. The resources are already shifting in your favor. What once seemed impossible is now unfolding with ease. Do not hesitate. Do not question. Simply say, yes. Yes to the wealth. Yes to the abundance. Yes to the life that has already been prepared for you. You must remove every lingering doubt from your mind. The doubts whisper that you must do more, that you must prove yourself, that you must struggle a little longer. Silence them. They are remnants of an old way of thinking, a way that no longer applies to you. The moment you let go of doubt completely, the final barriers fall. The full manifestation of what is yours appears. It does not matter what your past looked like. It does not matter what you have been through. It does not matter what the world has told you is possible. The only thing that matters now is the truth that has been spoken over your life. And that truth is that you are chosen, you are set apart, and you are now operating under divine provision. Your role is simple. Stay in a state of gratitude. Move as one who already has everything. Speak only in alignment with abundance. Let your mind dwell only on the certainty of your wealth. The more you do this, the faster everything unfolds. The moment you doubt, you delay. But the moment you believe fully, the reality shifts instantly. You were never meant to struggle. You were never meant to live in uncertainty. You were never meant to wonder how your needs would be met. Those who do not yet understand divine provision live in that way, but not you. You have been given a new understanding, a new law to operate under, a new way of being. And that way is effortless abundance. From this moment forward, let every word you speak be a declaration of what is already yours. Let every thought be one of certainty. Let every action reflect the truth that you are already wealthy, already provided for, already standing in the fullness of divine supply. There is no more striving, there is no more waiting, there is only receiving. What belongs to you is not just enough, it is overflow. It is more than you can contain. It is riches beyond measure, not for a season, but forever. This is the life you have stepped into. This is the reality that has been waiting for you. Accept it fully, walk in it boldly, and watch as everything you once pursued now pursues you. If you pursue happiness, you have the power. If you pursue heaven, you will then pursue You no longer live under the curse of effort. You no longer wake up with the burden of figuring out how things will come together. That is no longer your concern. Your only concern is alignment, for alignment is the only true work. The moment you step into divine alignment, you step into the realm where everything is effortlessly added unto you. The old laws of labor and toil no longer apply, for you have ascended into the higher law of faith and knowing. You must guard your mind, for the world will try to pull you back into its illusions. It will tell you that you must prove yourself, that you must earn your way, that you must struggle to receive. But those who are truly awake know better. They know that God has already spoken the word, that the provision is already secured, that the inheritance is already waiting. It is not in the future, it is here. If you had $1 billion in your bank account, would you wake up worried about how to pay your bills? No. You would rest, knowing that your supply is secure. This is the kind of rest you must now embody. The wealth that is yours is not just stored up in earthly banks, it is held in the limitless storehouses of the divine. And what God has set aside for you, no man can take away. You are not called to be like those who scramble for opportunities, who chase after money, who exhaust themselves in pursuit of provision. You are called to be different. You are called to be still and know, to declare and receive, to step into the flow where the riches of heaven pour into your life effortlessly. When you truly grasp this, You will laugh at the idea of working for wealth. You will smile at the thought of effort being the key to prosperity. You will walk as one who already has. You will move with the grace of one who is secure. You will radiate a confidence that draws all things unto you. The world will look at you and wonder why doors open so easily, why resources appear at just the right moment, why opportunities come without struggle, and they will not understand, they will not comprehend that you are operating under a higher law, a law where it is not your job to chase, but only to receive. Everything you have ever desired is already moving toward you. The wealth, the abundance, the financial overflow, it is seeking you now. It is not your place to wonder how or when. It is only your place to accept. The moment you fully accept, the floodgates open. What was once slow is accelerated. What was once hidden is revealed. What was once delayed is now immediate. The ones who are chosen do not live like the rest. They do not concern themselves with matters that others worry about. They do not live in the energy of need. They do not move from a place of lack. They live in the certainty that their God has already provided, that their steps are already ordered, that their supply is already overflowing. This is where you now reside. Do you see how effortlessly the birds of the air are fed? How they do not worry about where their next meal will come from? How they do not labor and yet are sustained with ease? How much more, then, are you taken care of? How much more is already prepared for you? You are worth more than many sparrows, and yet the world has convinced you that you must strive for what has already been freely given. That belief must now be discarded. You are not meant to toil for survival. You are meant to reign in abundance. You are not meant to wonder if your needs will be met. You are meant to walk in the confidence that they already are. From this moment, let go of every thought that tells you otherwise. Release every old belief that ties your wealth to effort. Let go of every illusion that tells you you must work to prove yourself. It is already done. There is no force in existence that can stop what has been divinely assigned to you. There is no system, no person, no obstacle that can block the overflow that is now moving in your direction. The moment you align, the moment you believe, the moment you say yes without hesitation, it all begins to flow. It does not come in drops, but in waves. It does not come in small portions, but in excess. You have stepped into a time where you will no longer experience limitation. What once seemed scarce will now be abundant. What once seemed far away will now be within reach. What once seemed impossible will now be your daily reality. There is no more waiting. There is no more struggling. There is only receiving. God does not call His chosen ones to beg for what is already theirs. He does not ask them to struggle for what has been freely given. He does not withhold blessings from those who are in alignment. He pours out riches beyond measure, not as a reward for effort, but as a natural consequence of belief. And now it is your time to step fully into that belief. The thoughts you think now must only be thoughts of abundance. The words you speak now must only be words of certainty. The energy you carry must only be the energy of one who already has. Anything less is a rejection of the blessing that is waiting to pour into your life. You must let go of doubt completely. You must let go of hesitation entirely. You must step forward with full confidence, knowing that the promise has already been fulfilled. You will begin to see signs immediately. You will notice doors opening without effort. You will see unexpected provision arriving exactly when you need it. You will experience the sensation of being carried, of being sustained, of being supported in a way you have never known before. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is the law in action. This is the divine promise manifesting before your eyes. From this day forward, you will not look for work, because you will understand that work is not your source. God is your source, and His supply is infinite. You will not chase opportunities, because you will know that opportunities are already assigned to you. You will not struggle for success, because you will embody success itself. You will not seek wealth, because wealth will seek you. The riches that are pouring into your life are not just for a season, they are forever. They are not just temporary blessings, they are an eternal inheritance. And when you finally understand this, when you finally accept this truth fully, your life will transform before your eyes. There is no force that can take away what God has given. There is no power that can stop what is already set in motion. Your only responsibility now is to remain in this knowing, to let your every thought align with abundance, to let your every word declare that you already have, to let your every step be taken in confidence, without hesitation, without fear, without doubt, because the moment you do, you will realize that what you once thought was coming is already here. What you once prayed for is already yours. What you once desired is already manifested. And from this moment on, you will never live the same way again. You are now walking in the divine flow, where struggle no longer exists. You are not bound by the laws of effort, nor are you subject to the burdens of uncertainty. The moment you surrendered to the knowing that all is already done, the heavens opened, and what was once withheld by your own doubts has now been released in full measure. There is no more striving, no more wondering if you are worthy, no more questioning if you are enough. The divine has already decided. The inheritance has already been written. The provision has already been secured. You are not here to compete, to prove, to labor under the illusion of scarcity. You are here to embody the truth that you have already won, that you have already been given all that you need and more. Your days of looking outward for confirmation are over. You do not need signs from the world, for the world is merely a reflection of your inner state. If you still see lack, it is only because your mind has not fully grasped the limitless abundance that has already been granted to you. If you still feel the weight of uncertainty, it is only because you have not fully stepped into the authority that is yours. The moment you shift, everything shifts. The moment you believe, everything appears. Money is no longer something you chase, it is something that flows to you, drawn by your certainty, pulled by your unshakable faith. Opportunities are no longer things you seek, they are things that seek you, because your presence alone is the key that unlocks doors. Success is no longer something you strive for. It is something that effortlessly unfolds before you, because you are aligned with the power that creates worlds. You must no longer concern yourself with how or when. That is not your business. That is not your responsibility. Your only task is to remain in the knowing, to keep your mind fixed on the truth, to never entertain doubt, not even for a moment. The moment you waver, you step out of the flow. The moment you question, you delay what is already on its way. You will wake up each day with a new kind of peace, a new kind of confidence, the kind that does not need evidence, the kind that does not need reassurance. You will move through life as one who already has, and the world will respond in kind. People will wonder how you attract so much without effort. They will ask how things seem to align perfectly for you. They will try to understand what makes you different, but they will never truly comprehend, because they are still bound by the illusion of effort, still trapped in the cycle of striving. You have transcended that now. You have stepped into the realm where all is given freely, not as a reward for work, but as a birthright. It is no longer about what you do, it is about what you are. And you are the chosen one, the one upon whom divine favor rests, the one for whom abundance is not a possibility, but an inevitability. Look around you. Everything you see is responding to you. The air, the earth, the people, the circumstances, all shifting according to the energy you hold. And now that you have stepped into the highest alignment, all things must align to match it. The riches that were waiting for you are now appearing. The doors that were once closed are now swinging open. The opportunities that seemed distant are now at your feet. You must release the last remnants of the old mindset, the part of you that still believes in struggle, the part of you that still holds on to doubt, the part of you that wonders if it is really this easy. That version of you is no longer needed. You are no longer the one who tries. You are the one who knows. You are no longer the one who hopes. You are the one who declares. You are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who receives. Your wealth is no longer in question. Your success is no longer in question. Your divine inheritance is no longer in question. The only thing that has ever stood in the way was your own uncertainty, and that uncertainty has now been removed. Now there is only certainty. There is only assurance. There is only the absolute knowing that all is already yours. Watch how quickly things begin to shift. Watch how effortlessly provision comes. Watch how easily opportunities arise. You are now in the season of overflow, where your hands will never be empty, where your needs will never go unmet, where abundance will be the only reality you know. The wealth that flows into your life will not be temporary. It will not be fleeting. It will not be unstable. It will be permanent, because it is rooted in divine law, and divine law does not fail. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world is now at the mercy of you. It will bend to accommodate you. It will rearrange itself to fit your knowing. It will deliver to you everything that is already written in your name. And from this moment on, you will walk as one who has never known lack, never known fear, never known struggle, because that version of you is gone. Now there is only abundance. Now there is only overflow. Now there is only the life that God has already prepared for you, and it is magnificent. Now you stand in the fullness of your divine inheritance, knowing that all has already been given. You no longer seek, you no longer strive, you simply receive. The old ways of struggle and doubt are behind you, and before you lies a path of abundance, effortlessly unfolding in perfect alignment with your faith. From this moment on, you move with confidence, with certainty, with the unwavering assurance that God has taken over. Provision is no longer your concern, for it flows to you freely. Success is no longer a distant hope, for it is your natural state. Riches are no longer a pursuit, for they are drawn to you like a river returning to the ocean. Walk boldly now, chosen one, for you are no longer bound by the illusions of the world. You are free, free to receive, free to flourish, free to live in the abundance that has always been yours. And as you embrace this truth fully, the world will witness the power of a life surrendered to divine will. It is done, it has always been done, and now it is yours forever. There's something powerful in knowing that you are not here by accident. Each of us has a path, a journey, a purpose that is uniquely designed just for us. Even in those moments of doubt, confusion, or pain, know this: God has a plan for you. Life, as we all know, is not a straight road. There are twists, there are valleys, and sometimes we feel as though we're standing still. But let me tell you something, it's all part of the bigger picture. Every setback, every challenge, every unexpected turn is leading you closer to the divine plan that God has already crafted. Sometimes we can't see it because we're in the midst of it. But trust me, it's unfolding, even when you can't understand it. There are moments when you may question your purpose, question your worth, and wonder if you're on the right track. I want to remind you today, you are exactly where you're meant to be. You are not lost. You are being shaped, refined, and prepared for something far greater than you can imagine. When life feels overwhelming, when you're met with obstacles that seem impossible to overcome, that is the time to lean into faith. Because God doesn't make mistakes, He's intentional. The struggles you face today are building the strength you need for tomorrow. I know there are days when the plan feels unclear, but faith isn't about seeing the whole staircase, it's about taking the first step, even when you can't see where it will lead. That's the beauty of walking with God. You don't have to have all the answers because He already does. You just need to trust. Understand this: no experience in your life is wasted. Every joy, every heartbreak, every victory, and every loss has meaning. They are threads in the tapestry of your purpose. And when the time is right, you'll see how it all weaves together into something beautiful. Your plan is not like anyone else's. Don't be discouraged if your path looks different. Don't compare your journey to others. because your path is divinely tailored. What God has for you is for you. No one else can claim it. No one else can walk it. You are destined for greatness, but you must trust the process. So today, release the need to control every aspect of your life. Surrender. Let go of the idea that you have to figure it all out. God is guiding you even in the moments that feel the darkest. Keep moving forward with faith, because God has a plan for you, and that plan is always for your highest good. Trust in that and watch how life unfolds with grace and purpose. There's a deep sense of peace that comes when we truly understand that God has a plan for each and every one of us. It's comforting to know that we're not wandering through life aimlessly, but that every step we take, every decision we make, is all part of a greater divine design. Trusting in God's plan means believing that everything in your life is happening for a reason, even when you can't immediately see what that reason is. It's knowing that no matter where you are right now, you're exactly where you need to be for your growth, for your journey, and for your purpose. Life, as we all know, can be unpredictable. We face challenges, disappointments, and moments of pure confusion. There are times when we feel completely lost, as though we've taken a wrong turn somewhere and ended up in the middle of nowhere. In those moments, trusting that God has a plan for us can feel like the hardest thing in the world. We wonder why things didn't work out the way we hoped, why we're facing certain hardships, or why the timing of life feels so off. But that's exactly when trust matters the most, when we don't have the answers and we can't see the way forward. Trusting in God's plan doesn't mean we have to understand every detail. It doesn't mean that we'll always know why things are happening as they are. In fact, more often than not, we won't understand until much later, when we look back and see how each moment fit perfectly into the larger picture. Trusting God is about surrendering our need to control the outcome. It's about letting go of the need to know every step of the journey and embracing the mystery of life. We don't have to have it all figured out, because God already does. He's seen the end from the beginning, and His plan is always perfect. But how do we trust when life feels uncertain? How do we hold on to faith when everything around us seems to be falling apart? The key is understanding that God's plan is not dependent on our circumstances. It's not swayed by what's happening in the world around us or by the challenges we face. God's plan is steady, unchanging, and always working for our good even when we can't see it. One of the most powerful things we can do is to remind ourselves that God's timing is not our timing. We often have our own ideas about how things should unfold, about the timeline of our lives, and when certain milestones should be reached. But God sees things from a higher perspective. He knows when the time is right, and He knows what's best for us in the long run. There may be delays, detours, or even complete shifts in direction, but none of these are accidents. They are all part of the journey, and they are all leading us to where we're meant to be. It's also important to recognize that trusting in God's plan doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. Trusting God is an active process. It means stepping forward in faith, even when the path ahead isn't clear. It means taking the next step, even when we don't know what comes after that. Trusting God is about moving forward with confidence, not in our own abilities, but in the knowledge that He is guiding us every step of the way. When we trust in God's plan, we can find peace in the midst of uncertainty. Instead of constantly worrying about the future, we can rest in the assurance that God is already there, working things out for our good. We can stop striving, stop trying to force things to happen, and instead allow life to unfold in the way that it's meant to. That doesn't mean we won't face challenges or obstacles. In fact, trusting God often means walking through difficult seasons, but with the assurance that those seasons have a purpose. Every challenge, every hardship is an opportunity for growth, for refinement, and for becoming the person God has called us to be. Trusting in God's plan also allows us to let go of comparison. It's easy to look at someone else's life and feel like we're falling behind, like we're not achieving enough or progressing quickly enough. But God's plan for your life is uniquely yours. Your path is not meant to look like anyone else's, and your timing is not meant to match theirs. When you trust that God has a plan specifically for you, you can let go of the need to compare and instead focus on walking your own path with confidence and faith. There's a beautiful freedom that comes when we release the need to control everything. When we trust in God's plan, we no longer have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to worry about every little detail. Instead, we can rest in the knowledge that God is in control, that He is guiding us, and that His plan is always for our highest good. There may be times when we doubt, times when we question if we're really on the right path. In those moments, it's important to pause and remind ourselves of God's faithfulness. Look back on your life and see the ways that God has been there for you, guiding you and providing for you, even when you didn't realize it at the time. Every blessing, every opportunity, every closed door that led to something better, those are all reminders of God's perfect plan for your life. When we take the time to reflect on God's faithfulness, it becomes easier to trust that He is still working, even in the moments when we can't see it. In the end, trusting in God's plan is about surrendering our will to His. It's about saying, I may not understand it all, but I trust you, God. I trust that you know what's best for me. I trust that you are leading me where I need to go. It's about releasing the need to control every aspect of our lives and instead allowing God to lead us on the journey that He has designed specifically for us. Trusting God doesn't mean life will be free from challenges. It doesn't mean we won't face difficulties or setbacks. But it does mean that we can face those challenges with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that God is in control. It means that we can walk through life with faith, even when the path ahead is unclear. Because we know deep down that God's plan is always for our good, always for our growth, and always for our ultimate purpose. Trust in that, and you will find a peace that surpasses all understanding. Recognizing divine guidance in everyday moments requires both an open heart and an attentive spirit. It's about becoming more aware of the subtle ways in which God communicates with us, guiding us along the path He has laid out. Too often we expect grand signs or extraordinary events to confirm that God is directing our steps, but divine guidance is frequently found in the quiet, ordinary moments of life. It's in the soft nudges, the still small voice, and the everyday experiences that, when viewed through the lens of faith, reveal God's presence and purpose. To recognize divine guidance, we must first acknowledge that God is always present and always communicating with us. He speaks to us through our thoughts, feelings, circumstances, and even through other people. The challenge is not whether God is guiding us, but whether we are tuned in to hear Him. Life can be so busy, filled with distractions, noise, and the pressures of daily responsibilities, that we often overlook the subtle ways God is trying to lead us. Recognizing divine guidance requires us to slow down, be still, and make space in our lives for quiet reflection and spiritual awareness. One of the most profound ways God guides us is through our intuition. That inner sense, that gut feeling, is often the Holy Spirit gently prompting us in a particular direction. When we feel a sudden clarity about a decision, or a deep sense of peace about a certain course of action, we are experiencing divine guidance. This inner voice may not always be loud or dramatic, but it is persistent. The more we learn to trust this intuitive sense, the more we can align our actions with God's will for our lives. However, tuning into this guidance requires discernment. Not every thought or feeling is divine guidance, which is why it's important to ground ourselves in prayer, meditation, and spiritual practices that help us stay connected to God. Another way to recognize divine guidance is through the doors that open and close in our lives. Sometimes God's direction comes in the form of opportunities that arise seemingly out of nowhere. A job offer, a new relationship, or an unexpected invitation can be God's way of pointing us in a new direction. Similarly, closed doors such as a missed opportunity or a plan that falls through can also be divine guidance. We may feel disappointment or frustration when things don't go as we hoped, but often God is protecting us from something that isn't meant for us, or He is redirecting us to something better. It's important to remember that closed doors are not signs of failure, they are often blessings in disguise, guiding us toward a path that is more aligned with God's plan. Divine guidance can also be found in our relationships. God often uses the people in our lives to guide us, whether it's through a conversation, a word of encouragement, or even constructive criticism. We may not always recognize it in the moment, but looking back, we can often see how certain people were placed in our lives for a reason. These individuals may offer wisdom or perspective that helps us see a situation more clearly. Sometimes a friend's advice, a mentor's counsel, or even a stranger's kind word can be exactly what we need to move forward. God uses our connections with others as a channel for His guidance, and by paying attention to the relationships in our lives, we can often discern His direction. Circumstances are another way through which God provides guidance. When we encounter unexpected events, whether positive or challenging, these moments often carry messages from God. A sudden detour, a delay, or a coincidence may all be part of a divine plan that is leading us to where we need to be. Even difficulties and struggles can be a form of guidance, pushing us to grow, to change direction, or to rely more fully on God. When we are facing a challenge, rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can shift our perspective and ask, "What is this teaching me?" or "How is God using this situation to guide me?" By viewing our circumstances through a spiritual lens, we can begin to recognize the ways in which God is leading us, even in the most unexpected situations. Prayer is one of the most important tools for recognizing divine guidance. When we are uncertain about a decision or a direction in life, turning to prayer allows us to seek God's wisdom. Through prayer, we open ourselves up to hearing from God, and we invite His presence into our decision-making process. It's important to remember that prayer is not just about asking for guidance, it's also about listening. Often we may pray for answers, but fail to make space to listen for God's response. After praying, taking time to sit in silence, to meditate, and to reflect can help us hear the still small voice of God more clearly. Over time, as we develop a deeper relationship with God through prayer, we become more attuned to His guidance in our everyday lives. Another aspect of recognizing divine guidance is paying attention to the recurring themes or signs in our lives. Sometimes God communicates with us through patterns or repeated messages. We might hear the same advice from multiple sources, encounter the same scripture verse in different contexts, or notice certain themes emerging in our lives. These patterns are not coincidences, they are often God's way of getting our attention. When we start to notice these recurring signs, it's important to reflect on what God might be trying to tell us. What is the message that keeps coming up? What direction is God pointing us toward? By staying open and attentive to these signs, we can begin to see how God is guiding us through the everyday details of our lives. Recognizing divine guidance involves trusting the process. Sometimes we won't have all the answers right away. God's guidance may not come in the form of a clear, immediate direction, but rather as a series of steps that unfold over time. It's important to trust that even when we don't see the full picture, God is leading us. Each step we take in faith brings us closer to understanding His plan. Often divine guidance is revealed in hindsight. When we look back, we can see how God was guiding us all along, even in moments when we felt lost or uncertain. Recognizing divine guidance in everyday moments is about staying open, attentive, and grounded in faith. It's about tuning into the subtle ways God communicates with us, whether through our intuition, circumstances, relationships, or recurring signs. It's about trusting that God is always present, always guiding us, and always working for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. When we cultivate a spirit of openness and reflection, we begin to see that divine guidance is all around us, leading us every step of the way. Learning to trust God's timing is one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of our spiritual journey. We live in a world that values speed and instant gratification, where everything is expected to happen immediately. However, God operates on a different timetable. His timing is perfect, but it often doesn't align with our own. Trusting His timing requires patience, faith, and a deep understanding that there is a purpose behind every delay, every wait, and every moment where it feels like nothing is happening. It's in these moments of waiting that some of the most profound growth and transformation take place. When we think about trusting God's timing, it's essential to acknowledge that God sees the bigger picture. While we may be focused on the here and now, concerned with our immediate needs and desires, God has a long-term plan for our lives. He knows what is best for us, not just in this moment, but for our future. There are times when we might feel frustrated because we're not seeing the results we want as quickly as we would like, but God's timing is always intentional. He is orchestrating things in ways we cannot see, ensuring that everything aligns perfectly for the greater good of our lives. What might feel like a delay to us is often divine preparation. One of the most common struggles people face when trusting God's timing is the temptation to take matters into their own hands. When we don't see immediate results, we can become impatient, trying to force outcomes or rush through situations. However, when we take control instead of waiting on God, we often end up making decisions that lead to more confusion or delay. The story of Abraham and Sarah in the Bible is a prime example of this. God promised them a child, but when the fulfillment of that promise didn't happen quickly, they took matters into their own hands. The result was unnecessary complications and heartache. If they had waited for God's timing, they would have avoided much of the pain they experienced. This story teaches us the importance of patience and trust in God's plan, even when it doesn't unfold according to our expectations. Patience is a key virtue when it comes to trusting God's timing. It's easy to be patient when everything is going according to plan, but the real test of patience comes during the waiting periods of life. Whether we're waiting for a breakthrough in our careers, healing from an illness, or clarity in a relationship, these periods of waiting can feel excruciating. However, the waiting process is often where God is doing His most significant work in us. Waiting is not passive, it's active trust. It's during these times that God is molding and shaping us, developing our character, strengthening our faith, and preparing us for the blessings to come. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. This verse reminds us that God's timing is not just perfect, but beautiful. What may seem like a delay to us is actually God's way of ensuring that everything falls into place in the most extraordinary way. Trusting God's timing also involves letting go of our need for control. As human beings, we often want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to plan our future down to the smallest detail, and we want things to happen on our timeline. But life doesn't work that way. We can't control everything, and the more we try, the more anxious and stressed we become. Trusting God's timing requires surrender, releasing our grip on the reins and allowing God to lead the way. It's about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers and that God's wisdom far surpasses our understanding. This act of surrender is incredibly liberating. It frees us from the burden of trying to force outcomes and allows us to rest in the knowledge that God is in control. During the waiting period, it's essential to stay connected to God through prayer and reflection. When we're waiting for something important, it's easy to become fixated on what we don't have or what hasn't happened yet. This can lead to frustration, doubt, and even resentment. But when we turn to God in prayer, we are reminded of His presence and His promises. Prayer is not just about asking God to move faster or to give us what we want. It's about aligning our hearts with His will. It's about finding peace in the waiting, knowing that God's timing is always perfect, even when we don't understand it. Through prayer, we can find the strength to keep going, to trust the process, and to maintain a sense of hope, even in the most uncertain of times. Another important aspect of trusting God's timing is recognizing that His delays are not denials. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. There are times when God says wait because He is working behind the scenes, setting things up in ways that we cannot see. There are also times when God says no because He has something better in store for us. Trusting God's timing means believing that He knows what is best for us, even when it doesn't match our desires. It's about having faith that, in the end, everything will work out according to His plan, and that plan is far greater than anything we could imagine for ourselves. In many cases, we don't fully understand God's timing until we look back. Hindsight is often where we can see the beauty of God's plan unfolding. There may be times in our lives when we were desperate for something to happen, only to realize later that if it had happened on our timeline, we wouldn't have been ready for it. Maybe the job we wanted so badly would have been overwhelming if we had received it earlier, or the relationship we long for wouldn't have been right at that time. It's only when we look back that we can see how God was protecting us, preparing us, and positioning us for something better. Trusting God's timing also helps us develop a sense of gratitude. When we learn to trust that God is working all things together for our good, we can find joy and gratitude in the present moment, even if we're still waiting for certain things to unfold. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or what hasn't happened yet, we can choose to be grateful for what God is doing right now. Gratitude shifts our perspective. It allows us to see the blessings that are already present in our lives, and it helps us cultivate a sense of peace and contentment, regardless of our circumstances. Trusting God's timing is a journey of faith, patience, and surrender. It's about releasing our need for control and allowing God to lead the way. It's about finding peace in the waiting and believing that God's plan for our lives is always for our good. Even when we don't understand the delays, even when we're tempted to take matters into our own hands, we can rest in the assurance that God's timing is perfect. He is always at work, orchestrating things behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, and preparing us for the blessings to come. When we trust His timing, we open ourselves up to experiencing the fullness of His love, grace, and provision in our lives. The idea that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine is both comforting and empowering. It speaks to the vastness of God's wisdom and love for us, reminding us that no matter how grand our dreams or ambitions may seem, God's vision for our lives far surpasses anything we could conceive. This truth invites us to step into a life of faith, where we trust not only in the promises of God, but also in His boundless ability to create something far more beautiful and purposeful than we could ever envision on our own. When we reflect on the concept that God's plan is greater than anything we could imagine, it's essential to understand that God sees us fully. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He created us with unique gifts, talents, and purposes that are intricately woven into His divine plan. While we might have goals or desires that seem big to us, God's plan encompasses not just our personal fulfillment, but the ways in which we are meant to impact others, bring light to the world, and fulfill His broader purpose for humanity. This means that when we align ourselves with God's plan, we step into a life that is not only about personal success, but about making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Often our human tendency is to dream within the confines of what we believe is possible based on our current circumstances. We may set goals or have aspirations, but they are often limited by our perceived abilities, resources, or life situations. However, God's plan for our lives is not constrained by these limitations. In fact, He often calls us to step beyond what we believe is possible, to embrace a vision that feels far beyond our reach. This is because God operates in the realm of the miraculous. He takes our limitations and turns them into opportunities for His power and glory to be revealed. What may seem impossible to us is entirely possible with God. One of the key aspects of understanding that God's plan is greater than we can imagine is realizing that His timing and process may not always align with our expectations. We might have a clear idea of what we want or where we want to go, but God's plan often involves a journey that we cannot foresee. This journey may include challenges, detours, or even periods of waiting, but each step is a necessary part of the process. God uses these experiences to shape us, prepare us, and equip us for the greater plan He has in store. Even the difficult seasons of life are not wasted. They are part of the refining process that leads us toward the fulfillment of God's greater vision for our lives. At times, God's plan may involve leading us in directions we never anticipated. We may have our hearts set on a particular path, but God has a way of surprising us by opening doors we didn't even know existed. These unexpected opportunities or changes in direction can be unsettling at first, because they require us to step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. However, when we trust that God's plan is greater than our own, we can embrace these moments with faith and confidence. We can be assured that God is leading us towards something even better than we had imagined. One of the most powerful examples of God's greater plan can be found in the lives of individuals who have experienced profound transformations or breakthroughs that they never saw coming. Many people have stories of how they pursued one path, only to be redirected by God into something far more significant. These stories often involve moments of surrender, where individuals let go of their own plans and fully trusted in God's guidance. It's in these moments of surrender that God's greater plan begins to unfold in ways that surpass all understanding. We see this in the lives of biblical figures such as Joseph, who, after being sold into slavery and enduring years of hardship, rose to a position of great influence that allowed him to save his people. Joseph's story is a testament to how God's plan is always greater, even when the path to fulfillment is filled with unexpected twists and turns. Another aspect of God's greater plan is the way in which He uses our lives to touch others. Often we think of our personal success or happiness as the ultimate goal, but God's plan is much broader. He uses our lives, our stories, and even our challenges to inspire, encourage, and uplift those around us. When we step into God's greater plan, we become vessels of His love and grace, impacting the lives of others in ways we may never fully understand. Our influence extends far beyond what we can see, as God's plan involves not just our individual lives, but the ripple effects of our faith, love, and service in the lives of others. God's greater plan also involves the fulfillment of promises that we may not even be aware of. The Bible is filled with examples of people who received blessings far beyond what they had hoped for. Abraham, for instance, was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, even when it seemed impossible due to his and Sarah's old age. Yet God fulfilled His promise in a way that far exceeded what Abraham could have imagined. Similarly, God often has promises for us that we may not yet see or understand, but He is faithful to fulfill them in His perfect time and way. It's important to remember that God's plan for our lives is rooted in His love for us. He is not a distant or indifferent God. He is intimately involved in every aspect of our lives, and His plans for us are always good. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter what we are going through, God's plan is ultimately for our good. His love for us is so great that He desires to bless us, to give us a future filled with hope, and to guide us into a life of purpose and fulfillment. In embracing the truth that God's plan is greater than we could ever imagine, we are called to live with a sense of expectancy and trust. We don't have to have all the answers or know every detail of how our lives will unfold. Instead, we can rest in the assurance that God is in control, and His plan for us is beyond our wildest dreams. This doesn't mean that we won't face challenges or disappointments along the way, but it does mean that we can move forward with confidence, knowing that God is working all things together for our good. Understanding that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine invites you to live a life of faith, trust, and surrender. It calls you to let go of your limited view of what's possible and embrace the limitless possibilities that come with aligning your life with God's will. His plan is not just about your personal success, it's about fulfilling a greater purpose that impacts the world around you. While the journey may not always be easy or predictable, you can have faith that God is guiding you toward a future that is filled with hope, purpose, and blessings beyond your imagination. When you trust in His greater plan, you step into a life that is far more extraordinary than anything you could have ever dreamed. Life is a journey filled with highs and lows, triumphs and challenges, moments of joy and seasons of struggle. One of the greatest truths we can hold on to during these times is that every challenge we face is part of a bigger picture, a journey that God has carefully designed for our growth and transformation. Embracing life's challenges as part of the journey means recognizing that adversity isn't just a random, unfortunate occurrence. It's a critical part of our spiritual development and a necessary step on the path to fulfilling God's divine plan for our lives. When we encounter obstacles, it's natural to feel frustrated, discouraged, or even defeated. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if, instead of viewing challenges as roadblocks, we saw them as stepping stones? Each trial we endure is an opportunity to build strength, resilience, and deeper faith. It's during the difficult times that our character is tested and refined. Without challenges, there would be no growth. We would remain stagnant, unchanging, and unprepared for the bigger and better things that God has in store for us. In many ways, challenges are like a refining fire. Just as gold is purified by fire, so too are we purified through the trials we face. It is through these experiences that we learn patience, humility, and perseverance. Every challenge presents an opportunity to lean into faith, to trust that God is working even when we don't understand His ways. The Bible tells us in James 1:2-3, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." This verse reminds us that there is a purpose to our pain, that God is using it to build something beautiful within us. When we face hardships, it's easy to ask, why is this happening to me? But a more powerful question to ask is, what is this teaching me? Every difficulty we encounter holds a lesson, something we can take with us as we continue on our journey. Whether it's learning to let go of control, discovering the depth of our inner strength, or gaining empathy for others who are going through similar struggles, challenges are our greatest teachers. They push us out of our comfort zones, force us to confront parts of ourselves that need healing, and ultimately shape us into the people we are meant to be. Sometimes challenges come into our lives to redirect us. What may seem like a setback could actually be God's way of steering us onto a new path, one that is more aligned with our purpose. We've all had experiences where something didn't go as planned, a job didn't work out, a relationship ended, or a door we were hoping would open remained firmly shut. In those moments, it can be hard to see beyond the immediate disappointment. But when we look back, we often realize that those closed doors were blessings in disguise. God knew what we didn't, and He was protecting us from something that wasn't meant for us, or preparing us for something even greater. Embracing challenges as part of the journey also means accepting that we won't always have the answers right away. Sometimes we have to walk through difficult seasons without fully understanding why certain things are happening. It's in these moments that faith becomes our anchor. Faith tells us that even though we can't see the whole picture, God is at work. He is using every trial to strengthen us, to prepare us, and to draw us closer to Him. When we trust in God's plan, we can find peace even in the midst of chaos, knowing that everything is happening for a reason, and that in time we will see the purpose behind our struggles. There's a well-known quote that says, "Smooth seas do not make skilled sailors," in much the same way. A life free from challenges does not make strong, resilient individuals. It's through the storms of life that we learn how to navigate with courage, how to trust God even when the waters are rough, and how to hold on to hope when everything around us feels uncertain. Each challenge we face equips us with the tools we need for the next part of our journey. It's like building spiritual muscle. Every time we overcome an obstacle, we become stronger, more capable, and more prepared for the future. Another important aspect of embracing challenges is recognizing that we are never alone in our struggles. God walks with us every step of the way. He is our strength when we feel weak, our comfort when we feel afraid, and our guide when we feel lost. In Psalm 23:4, the psalmist writes, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff. They comfort me." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter how dark or difficult the road ahead may seem, God is with us. He is guiding us, protecting us, and leading us toward His perfect plan. One of the most beautiful things about embracing challenges is that it allows us to develop a deeper sense of gratitude. When we go through difficult times and come out on the other side, we gain a greater appreciation for the good things in life. We learn to cherish moments of peace, to celebrate small victories, and to recognize the blessings that we might have otherwise taken for granted. Challenges teach us to be grateful for our strength, for our faith, and for the ways that God provides for us, even in the midst of hardship. It's also important to remember that challenges are temporary. No matter how difficult a season may be, it will not last forever. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. God promises in Isaiah 43:2, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." This verse reassures us that even though we may face deep waters, we will not be overcome. God is with us, and He will see us through to the other side. Ultimately, embracing life's challenges as part of the journey is about trusting in the process. It's about recognizing that every obstacle we face is a stepping stone towards something greater. It's about believing that God is using our struggles to shape us, to grow us, and to prepare us for the purpose He has for our lives. When we embrace challenges with faith, resilience, and a spirit of gratitude, we are able to move through life with a deeper sense of peace, knowing that every part of the journey, both the good and the difficult, is leading us closer to our divine destiny. Faith is often described as a belief in things unseen, a trust in something greater than ourselves, even when we don't have all the answers. Leaning into faith during times of uncertainty is not just an abstract concept, it's a powerful practice that can transform the way we navigate life's most challenging moments. When everything around us feels unstable, when the path ahead is unclear, faith becomes the anchor that grounds us. It's the assurance that, even when we can't see the full picture, God is at work behind the scenes, guiding us and leading us to where we are meant to be. Uncertainty is a natural part of life. We all go through seasons where we don't know what the future holds, whether it's uncertainty in our careers, relationships, health, or finances. These are moments that can evoke fear, anxiety, and doubt. We may feel like we're walking in the dark, unsure of the next step to take. It's in these moments of uncertainty that faith becomes most critical. Faith allows us to take a step forward even when we can't see the entire staircase. It's the belief that, although we may not know what lies ahead, God does, and He has a plan that is unfolding in ways we may not yet understand. Leaning into faith means surrendering our need for control. As humans, we have a natural tendency to want to control every aspect of our lives. We want to know what's going to happen next, how things will turn out, and what the future holds. But the reality is, we can't control everything. Life is full of twists and turns that we can't predict. Trying to control outcomes often leads to frustration and stress because we are fighting against the flow of life. Faith, on the other hand, invites us to let go of that control. It's about acknowledging that, while we may not have all the answers, God does. It's about trusting in His plan, even when we don't understand it in the moment. One of the greatest challenges we face during times of uncertainty is the feeling of vulnerability. Not knowing what the future holds can make us feel exposed, as if we're standing on shaky ground. But faith offers a sense of security in the midst of that vulnerability. When we lean into faith, we are reminded that we are not walking through life alone. God is with us every step of the way, and He has promised to guide and protect us. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 41:10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter how uncertain life may feel, God's presence is a constant source of strength and support. Faith also helps us to shift our perspective during uncertain times. Instead of focusing on what we don't know or can't control, faith encourages us to focus on what we do know, that God is good, that His plans are for our good, and that He is always working on our behalf. When we lean into faith, we begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. We start to recognize that every season of uncertainty is a chance to strengthen our trust in God, to deepen our relationship with Him, and to develop the qualities that will prepare us for the next stage of our journey. In times of uncertainty, our faith can also be a source of hope. It's easy to feel discouraged when things aren't going as planned or when we're faced with the unknown. But faith reminds us that our current circumstances are not the end of the story. God is still writing the narrative of our lives, and the best is yet to come. When we hold on to faith, we are able to maintain a sense of hope, even in the midst of difficult situations. This hope is not based on wishful thinking or blind optimism, but on the firm belief that God's promises are true, and that He is faithful to complete the work He has started in us. Another aspect of leaning into faith during uncertainty is learning to embrace the waiting period. Often uncertainty comes with a sense of waiting for clarity, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for God to reveal the next step. Waiting can be difficult. especially in a world that values instant gratification. But faith teaches us that there is purpose in the waiting. It's during these periods of waiting that God is working behind the scenes, aligning the right people, circumstances, and opportunities for our good. The waiting period is not wasted time, it's a time of preparation. Just as a seed must be planted in the dark soil before it can grow, so too must we often endure periods of uncertainty before we can fully step into the next season of our lives. Leaning into faith also requires us to stay connected to God through prayer and reflection. During times of uncertainty, it's easy to become overwhelmed by our fears and doubts. But when we take the time to quiet our minds, to seek God's presence, and to pray for guidance, we are reminded of His constant love and care for us. Prayer is a way to center ourselves in faith, to release our worries to God, and to trust that He is guiding us even when we can't see the way forward. It's through prayer that we can find peace in the midst of uncertainty, knowing that God hears us and that He is always working for our good. One of the most important things to remember during times of uncertainty is that faith is not a passive state, it's an active choice. It's a choice to trust God, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's a choice to believe in His goodness, even when we don't understand why certain things are happening. It's a choice to move forward with confidence, knowing that God is in control and that He is working all things together for our good. There will always be moments in life when we don't have all the answers, but that's where faith comes in. Faith allows us to step into the unknown with courage, to trust that God is leading us, and to believe that, no matter what happens, His plan is for our good. Leaning into faith during times of uncertainty is about embracing the unknown with confidence, knowing that God's love, guidance, and provision are always with us. It's about releasing our fears, trusting in His perfect timing, and walking forward with the assurance that we are never alone. In conclusion, recognizing and embracing the truth that God's plan for your life is greater than you could ever imagine is the key to living with faith, purpose, and fulfillment. While life may not always unfold the way we expect or desire, trusting in God's perfect timing and infinite wisdom allows us to navigate challenges with grace and patience. Every step, every delay, and every unexpected turn is part of a divine process that shapes us into who we are meant to be, leading us towards something far more beautiful and meaningful than we can comprehend. When we surrender our plans to God and allow Him to guide us, we open ourselves up to the miraculous, to blessings beyond our wildest dreams, and to a life of deeper purpose that touches not only our own hearts, but the lives of those around us. So as you continue your journey, trust that God's plan is unfolding perfectly, and it is greater, more abundant, and more powerful than anything you could ever imagine.